Have you ever stood in an art supply aisle and felt completely overwhelmed, staring blankly at endless columns of paperweights, wondering why some brushes cost 4 times as much as others, or trying to guess what on earth granulation actually means? You are not alone. Welcome back to your studio workbench. Today, we are demystifying the physical tools of the watercolorist's trade. Watercolor is a highly tactile, physical medium, and understanding your tools is the secret to moving from accidental mistakes to intentional, beautiful, and luminous results. And here is my first promise to you as your instructor. You do not need to spend a fortune to paint masterclass level art. In fact, we are going to start your journey with a streamlined, budget-friendly starter kit that will help you master the medium without getting lost in too many variables. To begin, you only need 3 things. First, the brush. A single, high-quality size 8 or 10 synthetic round brush. Now, you might see flat brushes, massive mop brushes, or tiny liner brushes and think you need them all. But a high-quality synthetic round is the absolute workhorse of the studio. It has a fat belly that acts as a reservoir, holding a generous amount of water, while retaining a crisp, springy, tapered point that lets you paint hair-thin details with the exact same brush. Synthetic fibers are perfect for us because they are incredibly resilient, durable, and keep our entry budget highly accessible. As you expand your kit, you'll eventually play with flats for structural edges, thirsty mops for sweeping sky washes, and liners that deliver continuous, ink-like calligraphic lines. But for now, your single round brush is more than enough. Before we move on, let's establish our first gold standard atelier brush care tip. Never ever leave your brushes resting face down in your water jar. The weight of the brush will permanently bend and ruin those delicate synthetic or natural fibers. When you're done, rinse them thoroughly. Gently reshape the tip into a fine point with your fingers and lay them flat on a towel or store them upright to dry. Next up is your paper. Let me be completely honest. Paper is arguably the single most important element in watercolor. If you use cheap printer paper or multimedia sheets, the water will pool, warp, and pill the paper fibers almost instantly. When selecting paper, look for 140 pound, which is 300 grams per square meter, cold-pressed paper. The 140 pound represents the weight. This is the absolute sweet spot for watercolorists because it absorbs water beautifully and resists heavy warping. If you go lighter, like a thin 90-pound paper, it buckles under water and is only good for sketching. If you go heavier, like a 300-pound cardboard thick sheet, it requires no stretching at all, but it is significantly more expensive. We choose cold-pressed because of its medium texture, or tooth. It has beautiful, slightly bumpy micro-valleys that catch the running pigments to create organic texture, while remaining flat enough for clean details. Hot-pressed is ironed smooth. It's wonderful for fine botanical illustration, but can be very slippery and difficult to control. Rough paper has deep, rugged peaks, which are incredible for dry brush textures and atmospheric landscapes. Now, let's talk paint. You can use dry pans activated with water, or tubes which are perfect for mixing large, intense washes. No matter which you choose, a basic 6-color split primary palette, featuring a warm and cool version of yellow, red, and blue, along with a few earth tones, is your perfect starting point. But watercolor pigments have hidden physical personalities that you must learn to decode. Some pigments are transparent, acting like sheets of colored glass that let the white paper underneath shine through for glowing, glazed layers. Others are opaque, acting like tiny blankets that partially cover the layers beneath. You'll also meet staining pigments that act like fabric dyes, permanently locking into the cotton fibers, and non-staining pigments that sit lightly on the surface, waiting to be lifted or wiped away with a damp brush to create soft highlights. And finally, granulation. Heavy mineral pigments like ultramarine blue don't dissolve completely. Instead, as the water evaporates, they settle into the microscopic valleys of your cold-pressed paper, leaving a gorgeous, organic, sand-like texture. Because our paints are transparent, we cannot paint white on top of dark colors and expect them to shine. Instead, we have to guard the light by preserving the white of the paper. We do this using masking tools, like liquid masking fluid, which dries to a rubbery latex barrier so you can paint bold washes right over it and peel it away later, or masking tape for perfectly clean, crisp white borders. Rather than a stressful project, we are going to combine all of these properties into a single, beautiful visual reference, the Studio Swatch Reference Sheet. This isn't just an exercise, it is a lifelong tool that professional artists keep in their studio to understand how their specific brush, paper, and paints dance together. You'll test your brush strokes, map your paint transparency, test your lifting and granulation, and practice peeling your masking resists to reveal those glowing white highlights. Once it's dry, you'll tuck this sheet safely inside your course progress journal. Now that you know how these materials behave, you are ready to assemble your own starter palette. I have made this incredibly easy for you. I've put together a complete, beginner-safe art materials shopping guide on my website. It features direct, budget-friendly links to the exact brushes, papers, and split primary paints I recommend so you can shop with confidence. You will find the links to the art materials shopping guide and the written student guide for this lesson in the video description or in the pinned comment below. Head over to the website, grab your materials, and then join me in our next video lesson, where we will explore how to clean your brushes, store your paints, and keep your creative sanctuary organized. Once you complete your swatch sheet, leave a comment below. Did your French ultramarine blue granulate as beautifully as you hoped? Until next time, keep your water clean, embrace the unpredictable beauty of the wash, and I'll see you at the workbench.